The year was 2387. Earth had been part of the Galactic Federation for almost 100 years. Humans worked alongside alien species from across the galaxy. They traded goods, shared knowledge, and helped each other. It was supposed to be time of peace, but peace never lasts forever. The Zephyrian Empire had been growing stronger for decades. They were a warrior race with gray skin and red eyes that burned like fire. Their ships were fast and deadly. Their weapons could cut through steel like butter. Worst of all, they wanted to rule the entire galaxy. For 3 years, they had been attacking Federation worlds. One by one, planets fell to their might. The Federation fleet fought back, but it was not enough. The Zephyrians had better technology. Their shields could stop most weapons. Their plasma cannons could destroy entire cities. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Blackstar. He was a tall man with brown hair and calm blue eyes. He had been in the Federation Navy for 15 years. He had seen many battles, but none like this one. The Blackstar was different from other Federation ships. It was humanity's newest warship, built with ideas that only humans could dream up, while other ships relied on energy weapons and traditional shields. The Blackstar used kinetic weapons that fired solid metal projectiles at incredible speeds. It had armor that could change shape during battle. Most importantly, it had an artificial intelligence that could learn and adapt. Morrison looked. At the main screen, the planet New Geneva was under attack. It was home to 10 million people, including many humans. The Federation had sent a fleet to defend it, but things were going badly. "Captain, we're getting a transmission from Admiral Kane," said Lieutenant Amy Brooks. She was the ship's tactical officer, a woman with short red hair and sharp green eyes. She had grown up on a military base and knew how to fight. "Put her through," Morrison said. Admiral Lisa Kane appeared on the screen. She was an older woman with gray hair and worry lines around her eyes. Behind her, Morrison could see the chaos of a battle command center. People were running around, alarms were blaring, and red lights flashed everywhere. "Jake, thank God you're here," Kane said. Her voice was tired and scared. "We're losing this fight. The Zephyrians have 47 ships. They're led by War Commander Thexville. He's never lost a battle." Morrison knew about Thexville. He was famous throughout the galaxy for his cruelty and skill. He had destroyed entire fleets without losing a single ship. "What's the situation?" Morrison asked. "We had 23 ships when the battle started," Kane said. "Now we have 6. The colony ships are trying to evacuate, but they need more time. The Zephyrians are pushing through our lines. Their weapons are too strong." On the screen, Morrison could see explosions in the distance. Federation ships were dying. Good people were giving their lives to buy time for the civilians below. "How long do you need?" Morrison asked. 2 hours. Maybe 3 if we're lucky. But I don't think we can hold them that long. Morrison looked around his bridge. His crew was small but skilled. Besides Brooks, there was Chief Engineer Danny Cooper, a young man who could fix anything. Science Officer Carl Martinez was quiet but brilliant. Communications Officer Beth Torres kept everyone connected. Navigation Officer Rick Hayes made sure they went where they needed to go. "Admiral, we'll hold the line," Morrison said. Kane shook her head. "Jake, you're just one ship. Even the Blackstar can't fight an entire fleet." "Maybe not," Morrison said. "But we have to try." The transmission ended. Morrison turned to his crew. They were all looking at him, waiting for orders. He could see fear in their eyes, but also determination. They were human. They did not give up easily. "Danny, how are our weapons?" Morrison asked. Cooper checked his instruments. "All rail guns are ready, Captain. The main cannon is charged and ready to fire. Our armor is in adaptive mode. Amy, What do you think about their formation? Brooks studied the tactical display. They're using a standard attack pattern. 3 groups of ships in a triangle formation. Very organized, but maybe too organized. If we can break their formation, we might have a chance. Martinez spoke up. Captain, I've been studying their previous battles. They always use the same tactics. They rely on their central command ship to coordinate everything. If we can disrupt that, we might have a chance, Morrison finished. Good work, Carl. The Blackstar moved through space toward the battle. Behind them, the evacuation ships were loading as many people as they could. Families were being separated. Children were crying. But they were alive, and Morrison was going to keep it that way. Captain, we're approaching the battle zone, Hayes reported. Morrison could see the enemy fleet on the main screen. 47 ships, all bigger than the Blackstar. They moved in perfect formation, like a deadly dance. At the center was the command ship, twice as large as the others. They've noticed us, Brooks said. 3 ships are breaking off to intercept. Morrison smiled. Just 3? They don't think much of us. Should we retreat and try to flank them? Torres asked. No, Morrison said. We go straight at them. Show them what humans can do. The 3 Zephyrian ships moved toward the Blackstar. They were sleek and deadly, with weapons that glowed with purple energy. Morrison had seen those weapons destroy Federation ships in seconds. All hands, this is the captain, Morrison announced over the ship's communication system. We're about to engage the enemy. This is what we trained for. Remember, we're not just fighting for the Federation. We're fighting for humanity. Show them what we're made of. A battle was about to begin. The 3 Zephyrian ships moved toward the Blackstar, like hunters closing in on prey. War Commander Vexful watched from his command ship, his red eyes glowing with confidence. He had destroyed thousands of ships in his career. One more would not matter. Destroyer Wing 7. Eliminate the human vessel, he commanded through the communication system. His voice was deep and harsh, like grinding metal. Make it quick. We have a planet to conquer. The lead Zephyrian ship was twice the size of the Blackstar. Its hull was dark blue with silver markings that showed the crew's battle victories. Purple energy crackled along its weapon arrays. The ship's captain, Sub-Commander Vextar, had destroyed 12 Federation ships in the past month. Alone. Human vessel, you will surrender now or be destroyed. Vextar transmitted to the Blackstar. Morrison looked at his crew. They were all at their stations, hands steady on their controls. He could see the determination in their eyes. They were scared, but they were ready. Amy, target their lead ship, Morrison ordered. Danny, give me full power to the railguns. Brooks worked at her station, her fingers flying over the controls. Target locked, Captain. Range is 50,000 kilometers and closing. Cooper was in the engine room, pushing the ship's systems to their limits. Captain, I'm routing power from life support to the weapons. We'll have full power for about 10 minutes. That's all we need, Morrison said. Fire when ready. The Blackstar's main railgun fired. It was not like the energy weapons the Zephyrians were used to. Instead of a beam of light, it fired a solid metal projectile at incredible speed. The projectile was no bigger than a baseball, but it was moving at 30% the speed of light. The Zephyrian ship's shields flared bright purple as the projectile hit them. The aliens had designed their shields to stop energy weapons. But this was different. This was solid matter moving at impossible speed. The projectile punched through the shields like they were not there. It hit the Zephyrian ship's hull and kept going. It tore through armor, through corridors, through the ship's reactor core. The destroyer exploded in a ball of fire and metal. On the Zephyrian command ship, Vexful stood up from his command chair. His red eyes were wide with shock. What happened? How did they penetrate our shields? I don't know, War Commander, his science officer stammered. Their weapon was not energy-based. It was a physical projectile. Dexval had never seen anything like it. In all his years of battle, no enemy had ever used such primitive weapons. Energy weapons were the standard throughout the galaxy. But these humans were different. Destroy them, he roared. All ships, destroy them now. The remaining 2 destroyers opened fire with everything they had. Purple energy beams lanced out toward the Blackstar. But Morrison was ready. Rick, evasive. Maneuvers, he ordered. Amy, return fire. The Blackstar twisted and turned through space, its adaptive armor shifting to deflect the energy beams. Hayes was a skilled pilot, and he made the ship dance between the deadly purple lights. Brooks fired the secondary railguns in rapid succession. The smaller projectiles struck the second destroyer, tearing holes in its hull. The ship began to spin out of control, atmosphere venting from multiple breaches. Martinez was studying the enemy's attack patterns from his science station. Captain, they're not adapting to our tactics. They keep using the same firing sequences. That's because they've never had to adapt, Morrison said. They've always had superior technology. They don't know how to fight when that advantage is gone. The third destroyer tried to ram the Blackstar. It was a desperate move, but the Zephyrian captain thought he could take the human ship with him. He was wrong. Cooper had been working on the armor systems. Captain, I've got an idea. What if we let them hit us? Are you crazy? Torres asked from her station. Maybe, Cooper said with a grin, but the armor can reshape itself. If we time it right, ... Morrison understood. Do it. The Zephyrian ship came in fast, its bow aimed at the Blackstar's side. At the last second, Cooper activated the adaptive armor. The Blackstar's hull flowed like liquid metal, creating a channel that guided the enemy ship past them instead of into them. As the destroyer slid past, Brooks fired the main railgun at point-blank range. The projectile went straight through the enemy ship from bow to stern. The destroyer broke apart like a toy dot in less than 5 minutes. The Blackstar had destroyed 3 Zephyrian ships. Across the galaxy, no Federation vessel had ever achieved such a victory. Dexval could not believe what he was seeing. His best ships, his most experienced crews, destroyed by a single human vessel. It was impossible. It was humiliating. How are they doing this? He demanded. His tactical officer studied the sensor readings. Their weapons are completely different from ours. They use kinetic energy instead of plasma. Our shields are not designed to stop solid projectiles. Then adapt our tactics. Dexval snarled. I don't know how, War Commander. This is not in our training. And that was the problem. The Zephyrians had relied on their technological advantage for so long that they had forgotten how to think creatively. They followed their training, used their standard tactics, and expected to win through superior firepower. But humans were different. They adapted. They improvised. They found new ways to use old ideas. Morrison looked at the tactical display. The 3 destroyers were gone, but 44 ships remained. The odds were still impossible, but they had proved something important. The Zephyrians could be beaten. All stations report, Morrison ordered. Weapons are functioning normally. Brooks reported. We've used about 20% of our ammunition. Engines are running hot but stable, Cooper said. I can give you everything you need, Captain. Sensors are picking up movement in the main fleet, Martinez added. They're changing formation. I think we got their attention. Morrison nodded. The first phase of the battle was over. Now came the hard part. They had to face the entire Zephyrian fleet, and Dexval would not underestimate them again. Beth, send a message to Admiral Kane, Morrison ordered. Tell her we're engaging the main fleet. And Beth? Yes, Captain? Tell her that humans don't give up. The Blackstar turned toward the enemy fleet. Behind them, the evacuation ships continued their desperate work. Every minute the Blackstar could hold the line meant more lives saved. Morrison looked at his crew. They were still scared, but now they were also proud. They had done something no one thought possible. They had beaten the Zephyrians at their own game. Ready for round 2? Morrison asked. His crew smiled. They were ready for anything. War Commander HFY was furious. His red eyes burned brighter than ever as he stared at the tactical display. 3 of his best ships had been destroyed by a single human vessel. It was unthinkable. It was an insult to everything he believed. I want that ship destroyed, he told his fleet. All ships, attack Formation Delta. Surround them. Use everything we have. 20 ships moved toward the Blackstar. They spread out in a wide circle, trying to attack from all directions at once. HFY was not going to make the same mistake twice. He would use overwhelming force. Morrison watched the enemy ships closing. The Blackstar was alone in the middle of space, surrounded by enemies. Most captains would have tried to run. But Morrison was not most captains. Spartan, are you ready? He asked. Yes, Captain, came the reply from the ship's artificial intelligence. The voice was calm and female, chosen to sound friendly to the human crew. But Spartan was more than just a voice. She was the ship's brain, able to process information faster than any human could. What do you think of their formation? Morrison asked. They are trying to surround us, Spartan said. But their ships are too spread out. They cannot provide covering fire for each other. If we attack one section, the others will be too far away to help. That's what I was thinking, Morrison said. Amy, pick a target, the biggest ship you can find. Brooks studied the enemy formation. There's a heavy cruiser at bearing 270. It's leading a group of 5 ships. That's our target, Morrison said. Danny, I need everything you can give me. Cooper was already working miracles in the engine room. He had taken power from non-essential systems and pushed the engines beyond their normal limits. The ship was running on pure human determination and engineering skill. You've got it, Captain, Cooper said. But I can't keep this up forever. These systems weren't designed for this kind of stress. Just give me what you can, Morrison said. Rick, take us straight at that cruiser. Full speed. The Blackstar accelerated toward the enemy formation. The Zephyrian ships opened fire, filling space with purple energy beams. But the human ship was fast and unpredictable. Haze twisted and turned, making the ship dance between the deadly lights. They're trying to box us in, Brooks reported. If we stay on this course, we'll fly right into their trap. Good, Morrison said. That's exactly what we want them to think. The Blackstar flew straight toward the heavy cruiser. The Zephyrian captain was confident. The human ship was flying into a trap. There was no way it could escape. But at the last second, Morrison gave a new order. Danny, emergency stop. Amy, fire everything. Cooper reversed the engines at full power. The Blackstar stopped so suddenly that the crew was thrown against their restraints. The sudden stop was impossible for most ships, but the Blackstar's adaptive systems allowed it. The Zephyrian ships had been moving to intercept the Blackstar's projected course. When the human ship stopped, they flew right past it, exposing their weak rear sections. Brooks did not waste the opportunity. The main railgun fired, followed by all the secondary weapons. The heavy cruiser took a direct hit to its engine section. The ship exploded in a brilliant fireball. The other 4 ships in the group tried to turn around, but they were moving too fast. Before they could change course, the Blackstar fired again. 2 more destroyers died in seconds. Impossible. HFY roared from his command ship. How are they doing this? His science officer was studying the sensor readings frantically. War Commander, their tactics make no sense. They stopped in the middle of a battle. No ship should be able to do that. Then how did they do it? Dexval demanded. I don't know, the science officer admitted. Their technology is different from ours. They seem to be able to adapt there. Ship systems in real time. Dexval was learning what many enemies had discovered over the centuries. Humans were dangerous because they did not follow the rules. They improvised. They found new ways to use old tools. They turned weaknesses into strengths. Martinez was monitoring the enemy communications from his station. Captain, I'm picking up chatter from their fleet. They're confused. They don't know how to respond to our tactics. That's because they're used to fighting by the book, Morrison said. They follow procedures. We make it up as we go along. The battle continued. The Blackstar twisted and turned through space, striking at the enemy fleet like a wolf among sheep. Every time the Zephyrians thought they had the human ship trapped, it did something unexpected. When 5 ships tried to surround the Blackstar, Cooper ejected coolant from the engines, creating a cloud of frozen gas. The Blackstar hid in the cloud while Brooks picked off the enemy ships one by one. When a group of destroyers tried to ram the ship, Hayes flew the Blackstar between 2 of them, causing them to crash into each other instead. When the enemy tried to jam their communications, Torres used the ship's hull as a giant antenna, boosting their signal strength beyond anything the Zephyrians had seen. Each victory was small, but they were adding up. The Zephyrian fleet was losing ships steadily. More importantly, they were losing confidence. War Commander, his tactical officer said nervously, perhaps we should retreat and regroup. Dexval turned on him with fury. Retreat? I have never retreated from any battle. I will not be defeated by a single human ship. But even as he spoke, Dexval was beginning to doubt himself. He had fought hundreds of battles against dozens of species. He had always won through superior technology and disciplined tactics. But the humans were different. They did not fight like anyone else. The Blackstar's crew was working like a machine. Cooper kept the engines running far beyond their design limits. Brooks found new ways to use their weapons with every shot. Martinez predicted the enemy's moves before they made them. Hayes flew the ship like it was part of his own body, and Morrison held them all together. He made decisions in seconds that other captains would need minutes to consider. He trusted his crew completely, and they trusted him. Captain, Brooks said, I'm reading a massive energy buildup from their command ship. I think they're charging some kind of super weapon. Morrison looked at the tactical display. Dexval's command ship was twice the size of any other vessel in the fleet. If it had a super weapon, it could destroy the Blackstar in one shot. How long until it's ready? Morrison asked. 3 minutes, maybe 4. Brooks said. Morrison made a decision that would have seemed insane to any other captain. Rick, set course for the command ship. We're going to ram it, sir. Hayes asked, not sure he had heard correctly. You heard me. Full speed, straight at their command ship. The Blackstar turned toward the massive enemy vessel. The crew knew it was a desperate move, but they also knew their captain had not let them down yet. Danny, I need everything you can give me, Morrison said. Amy, prepare for close-range combat. We're going to board that ship. The Blackstar accelerated toward the command ship. The final phase of the battle was about to begin. The Blackstar raced toward the massive Zephyrian command ship. Dexval watched in disbelief as the human vessel came straight at him. No captain had ever dared to attack his flagship directly. They're going to ram us, his tactical officer shouted. Impossible, Dexval said. They would be destroyed in the impact. But Morrison had no intention of destroying his ship. He had a different plan, one that only humans would be crazy enough to try. Danny, how are those modifications coming? Morrison asked over the communication system. Cooper was working frantically in the engine room. He had been changing the ship's systems during the battle, turning them into something no engineer had ever imagined. "Almost ready, Captain, but I'm not sure this will work." "It'll work," Morrison said. "It has to." The Blackstar was only seconds away from impact. Every gun on the command ship was firing at them. Purple energy beams filled space around the human vessel, but Hayes was flying like a man possessed, dodging between the deadly lights. "Brace for impact." Morrison ordered Dot at the last second. Cooper activated his modifications. The Blackstar's adaptive armor flowed like liquid metal, forming a sharp point at the front of the ship. The armor was designed to change shape during battle, but Cooper had pushed it far beyond its normal limits. The Blackstar hit the command. Ship's shields at full speed. The purple energy field flared and crackled, but the ship's pointed armor pierced through like a needle through cloth. The Blackstar buried itself deep in the command ship's hull. Exval was thrown from his command chair as his ship shuddered under the impact. Alarms were blaring everywhere. His crew was shouting in panic. "Damage report," he demanded. "Hull breach on decks 7 through 12, his damage control officer reported. "The human ship is lodged in our forward section." "Then we have them." "Trapped," Exval said. "Seal off those sections. Let them suffocate in space." But Morrison was not finished. "Amy, activate the boarding protocol. Danny, open the airlock." The Blackstar's crew had prepared for this moment. They had trained for boarding actions, but never anything like this. They were going to invade an enemy ship while it was still. Fighting .20 Federation Marines were waiting in the Blackstar's cargo bay. They were led by Sergeant Mike Torres, Beth's brother. He was a tough man who had fought in ground battles across the galaxy. "Remember," Morrison told them over the communication system, "we're not just trying to capture this ship. We're trying to end this battle. Take out their command center, and the whole fleet will fall apart." The Marines put on their armor and checked their weapons. They were scared, but they were also proud. They were about to do something that had never been done before Dot Cooper opened the airlock between the two ships. The Blackstar's hull had cut deep into the command ship, creating a tunnel between them. The Marines rushed through, their boots clanging on the metal deck. The Zephyrians were waiting for them. The alien warriors were tall and strong, with gray skin and burning red eyes. They carried energy weapons that could cut through most armor. But they had never fought humans in close combat. The first Marine through the tunnel was Private Jenny Brooks, Amy's younger sister. She was small and quick, perfect for close quarters fighting. A Zephyrian warrior fired at her with his energy weapon, but she rolled under the beam and came up shooting. Her kinetic rifle fired solid bullets instead of energy beams. The Zephyrian's personal shield stopped the first shot, but the second and third punched through. The alien warrior fell. More Marines poured through the tunnel. The Zephyrians fought back with discipline and skill, but they were not prepared for human tactics. The Marines used smoke grenades to confuse their enemies. They threw flashbang grenades that blinded the aliens. They fought dirty, using every trick they had learned. Sergeant Torres led his team toward the command center. The Zephyrians tried to stop them, but the humans were unstoppable. They moved like a pack of wolves, covering each other and striking at weak points. On the Blackstar's bridge, Morrison watched the battle through the Marines' helmet cameras. He could see his people fighting and dying in the corridors of the enemy ship, but they were winning. "Amy, can you target their weapon systems from here?" he asked. Dot Brooks was working at her station, trying to find a way to help the Marines. "I think so. If I can tap into their computer system, ... "Do it," Morrison said. "Martinez, help her." The two officers worked together, using skills they had never learned in the academy. They were improvising, finding new ways to use their equipment. It was pure human ingenuity. "Got it," Martinez said. "I'm in their computer system. I can see their ship's layout. There." Brooks pointed at her screen. "The command center is 3 decks up from the Marines' position. If they can reach it." Morrison opened a channel to Sergeant Torres. "Mike, you need to go up 3 decks. The command center is at coordinates 7 Alpha 9. Torres was breathing hard as he fought through the ship's corridors. "Roger that." "Captain, we're on our way." The Marines fought their way up through the ship. Every corridor was a battle. Every doorway was a potential trap. But they kept moving forward, driven by human determination. Dexval was in his command center, watching his ship fall apart around him. His crew was panicking. His warriors were being defeated by a handful of humans. It was impossible, but it was happening. "War Commander," his communications officer said, "the other ships are requesting orders. They don't know what to do." That was the problem. The Zephyrian fleet was trained to follow orders from the command ship. Without clear leadership, they were lost. And Dexval was too busy fighting for his life to give orders. The command center doors exploded inward. Sergeant Torres and his Marines rushed in, their weapons ready. The Zephyrian command crew reached for their weapons, but the humans were faster. "Surrender," Torres shouted. "Drop your weapons." Dexval stood in the center of the room, his red eyes blazing with fury. He was a warrior who had never been defeated. He would not surrender to humans. "You think you have won?" He snarled. "This is just one ship. The Empire has thousands more." "Maybe," Torres said, "but right now you're done." The war commander reached for his weapon, but Jenny Brooks was quicker. Her rifle fired once, and Dexval fell to the deck. The greatest Zephyrian commander was dead. With their leader gone, the Zephyrian fleet began to fall apart. Ship captains started making their own decisions. Some tried to continue the fight. Others began to retreat. The perfect formation that had seemed so threatening was breaking down. Morrison watched it all from the Blackstar's bridge. They had done it. They had beaten the impossible odds. But the battle was not over yet. "Captain," Brooks said, "the remaining ships are scattering. Some are heading back toward Zephyrian space. Others are trying to regroup." "Then we finish this," Morrison said. "All Marines, prepare for extraction. We're going after the rest of the fleet." The Blackstar pulled away from the command ship, leaving it dead in space. The human vessel was damaged, but still fighting. Its crew was tired, but determined. They had proven that humans could not be defeated by superior technology alone. They had shown that creativity and determination could overcome any obstacle. The final phase of the battle was about to begin. The Zephyrian fleet was in chaos. With War Commander Dexval dead and their command ship destroyed, the alien warriors did not know what to do. They had been trained to follow orders, not to think for themselves. Captain Morrison watched the enemy ships on his tactical display. Some were trying to flee back to Zephyrian space. Others were attempting to regroup for another attack. A few were just floating in space, their crews too shocked to move. "Amy, how many ships are left?" Morrison asked. Brooks counted the contacts on her screen. 23 ships, Captain. But they're scattered across the system. They're not working together anymore. That's our advantage, Morrison said. "Spartan, can you calculate attack patterns for individual ships?" The ship's artificial intelligence responded immediately. "Yes, Captain. Without central coordination, each ship will fall back on standard combat procedures. I can predict their moves with 92% accuracy." Morrison looked at his crew. They were tired, but they were not finished. The battle had been going on for hours, and they had been fighting impossible odds. But they were still alive, and they were still fighting. "Danny, how are our systems holding up?" Morrison asked. Cooper's voice came from the engine room. "We're running on fumes, Captain. The engines are way past their safety limits. The weapons are overheating. And we're down to about 30% of our ammunition." "But we're still fighting," Morrison said. "That's what matters." The Blackstar moved toward the nearest group of enemy ships. There were 5 destroyers trying to form a defensive formation. But without orders from their command ship, they were just guessing at what to do. "Rick, take us in fast," Morrison ordered. "Amy, target the lead ship." The Blackstar accelerated toward the enemy formation. The Zephyrian ships opened fire, but their aim was poor. They were scared and confused, not the disciplined warriors they had been at the start of the battle. The main railgun fired, and the lead destroyer exploded. The other 4 ships tried to scatter, but they were too slow. Brooks picked them off, one by one, using the ship's remaining ammunition carefully. "That's 5 down," Brooks reported. 18 to go. Morrison opened a channel to the surviving Federation ships. Admiral Kane's voice came through, weak but determined. "Jake, what's your status?" she asked. "We're still fighting, Admiral," Morrison said. "The enemy fleet is broken up. We can handle them if we work together." "Roger that," Kane said. "We have 3 ships left. We'll support you however we can." The remaining Federation ships were damaged, but they were still fighting. They formed up with the Blackstar, creating a small but determined fleet. For the next hour, they hunted down the scattered Zephyrian ships. It was not easy. The enemy. Warriors were skilled fighters, even without their command structure. But they were fighting alone, and humans were never alone. Martinez had been monitoring enemy communications throughout the battle. "Captain, I'm picking up something interesting. The Zephyrian ships are talking to each other, trying to coordinate, but they're arguing about who should be in command." "That's perfect," Morrison said. "They're wasting time fighting each other instead of us." One group of Zephyrian ships tried to make a run for the edge of the system, but Hayes was too good a pilot. The Blackstar intercepted them before they could escape. The railguns spoke again, and more enemy ships died. Another group tried to hide behind New Geneva's moon, but Torres had been monitoring their movements from the communications station. She guided the Blackstar to their hiding spot, and they were destroyed before they could react. As the battle continued, something remarkable happened. The news of the Blackstar's victory began to spread throughout the galaxy. Other Federation ships heard about the human vessel that had destroyed an entire Zephyrian fleet. The story grew with each telling. On Federation worlds, people gathered around communication screens to watch the battle. They saw a single human ship fighting against impossible odds. They saw creativity and determination defeating superior technology. They saw what humans could do when they refused to give up. The Zephyrian Empire was watching too. In their capital city, the High Command was in emergency session. They could not believe what they were seeing. Their greatest fleet, led by their best commander, had been defeated by a single human ship. How is this possible? A Supreme Commander demanded. "We have the best technology in the galaxy. Our warriors are trained for birth. How can we lose to humans?" His advisors had no answer. They had studied human military tactics, but they had never seen anything like this. The humans were not following any known strategies. They were making it up as they went along. "Perhaps," one advisor said carefully, "we have underestimated them." Back in the New Geneva system, the last Zephyrian ships were making their final stand. 6 destroyers had grouped together near the system's edge. Their captains had finally agreed on a leader, and they were trying to fight like the disciplined force they once were. But it was too late. The Blackstar and the surviving Federation ships surrounded them. The enemy was outnumbered and outfought. Their morale was broken, and their tactics were predictable. "This is Captain Morrison of the USS Blackstar. Morrison broadcast to the enemy ships. "You are surrounded. Surrender now, and your crews will be treated according to Federation law." There was a long silence. Then one of the Zephyrian captains responded, "We are warriors of the Empire. We do not surrender." "Then you will die as warriors," Morrison said sadly. "I'm sorry it has to end this way." The final battle was swift and brutal. The Zephyrian ships fought bravely, but they were no match for the combined Federation force. One by one, they were destroyed. The last ship tried to ram the Blackstar, but Hayes saw it coming and moved aside at the last second. Then it was over. The space around New Geneva was filled with debris from 47 Zephyrian ships. The mighty fleet that had conquered dozens of worlds was gone. Morrison slumped in his captain's chair. The battle had lasted 6 hours, and he was exhausted. But they had won. Against all odds, they had won. "Casualty report," he said quietly. Brooks checked her instruments. "We lost 8 Marines during the boarding action. Engineering section took some damage, but no fatalities. Medical Bay reports 12 wounded." It was a light casualty list, considering what they had faced. Morrison thought about the 8 Marines who had died. They had given their lives to save 10 million civilians on New Geneva. It was a trade any soldier would make, but that did not make it easier. "Danny, how's the ship?" Morrison asked. Cooper's voice was tired but proud. "She's beat up pretty bad, Captain. The engines need a complete overhaul. The main railgun is cracked and needs replacement. But she's still flying. That's all that matters," Morrison said. "Beth, open a channel to Admiral Kane." Admiral Kane appeared on the main screen. She looked older than she had 6 hours ago, but there was pride in her eyes. "Jake, I don't know how to thank you. You saved the entire system." "We all did it together, Admiral," Morrison said. "My crew, your ships, the Marines, it was a team effort." "The evacuation ships got everyone off the planet," Kane said. 10 million people owe their lives to you and your crew." Morrison looked around his bridge. His crew was exhausted, but they were smiling. They had done something impossible. They had proven that humans belonged in the galaxy as equals, not as junior partners. Over the following days, news of the Battle of New Geneva spread throughout the galaxy. The story grew with each telling, but the core truth remained the same. A single human ship had defeated an entire Zephyrian fleet through courage, creativity, and determination. Other Federation species began to look at humans differently. They had always respected human technology and industry. Now they respected human fighting spirit. Military academies across the galaxy began studying the Blackstar's tactics. The Zephyrian Empire was forced to reassess their expansion plans. They had lost their best fleet and their greatest commander. More importantly, they had lost their confidence. Every battle now carried the risk of facing another Blackstar moment. War Commander Thexfel's replacement was a cautious leader named Kexstar. He studied the battle recordings for months, trying to understand how the humans had won. But the more he studied, the more confused he became. They broke every rule of military engagement, he told his staff. They used weapons that should not work. They employed tactics that make no sense. How do we fight an enemy that does not follow any logical pattern? His science officer had an answer. Perhaps, War Commander, logic is not their greatest strength. Perhaps their strength is the ability to abandon logic when necessary. It was a concept the Zephyrians could not understand. They were a warrior race that valued discipline and order above all else. The idea of fighting without a plan was foreign to them. Meanwhile, the USS Blackstar was undergoing repairs at a Federation shipyard. Captain Morrison had been promoted to Admiral, and he was now in charge of training other captains in human tactical doctrine. The ship itself had become famous throughout the galaxy. Crews from other vessels came to see the scarred hull and patched armor. They wanted to understand how such a small ship had achieved such a great victory. But Morrison knew the real secret was not the ship. It was the crew. It was Danny Cooper's ability to make impossible repairs under fire. It was Amy Brooks' instinct for finding the enemy's weak spots. It was Carl Ma.
Commander Alex Winters stood on the bridge of the USS Stargazer, staring at the endless sea of stars through the main viewport. The exploration vessel glided silently through the outer reaches of the Capella system, far from the bustle of Earth's colonies and trade routes. It was their third week of routine patrol and mapping duty, not exactly the exciting mission Alex had hoped for when he joined the United Earth Fleet 15 years ago. "Commander, I'm picking up some unusual energy readings," said Lieutenant Susan Garcia, her eyes fixed on her science station display. The young officer's brow furrowed as she adjusted several settings. "It's coming from that uncharted asteroid field ahead." Alex walked over to her station. "Unusual how?" Susan shook her head slightly. "I can't be sure. At first I thought it was just background radiation, but there's a pattern to it. Almost like a pulse." "Natural phenomenon?" asked Alex. "I don't think so, sir." Susan looked up from her screen. "The energy signature contains elements similar to our own technology, but much more advanced." Alex straightened up, suddenly alert. "Bring us closer but maintain distance protocols. Could be an unregistered mining operation." "Yes, sir," replied the helmsman, Officer Ben Clark, as he adjusted their course. As the Stargazer approached the asteroid field, the readings grew stronger. The field itself wasn't remarkable, just hundreds of rocky bodies drifting in the emptiness of space. But the largest asteroid, a misshapen rock about 3 kilometers across, was definitely the source of the energy signature. "I'm getting clearer. Readings now?" Susan said, her voice rising with excitement. "Sir, you need to see this." She transferred the data to the main screen. The entire bridge crew stared at the display. The energy signature was undeniably artificial, but what caught everyone's attention was the analysis at the bottom of the screen. "That can't be right," said Alex, leaning forward. "Run it again." Susan's fingers flew over her console. "I've run it 3 times, sir. The dating system is functioning correctly. Whatever's generating that energy has been there for approximately 15,000 years." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Humanity had only achieved faster-than-light travel. Less than 200 years ago, even the oldest human ruins on Earth barely dated back 10,000 years. "Are you saying we're detecting 15,000-year-old technology?" asked Chief Engineer Jack Miller, who had just arrived on the bridge. "That's impossible. Nothing would still be functioning after that long." "Let's find out," said Alex, making a decision. "Prepare a landing party. Susan, you're with me. Jack, I want you along too. We'll need your expertise if this is some kind of technology." 90 minutes later, Alex, Susan, and Jack stood on the surface of the asteroid in their environmental suits. The surface was like any other asteroid, dark, dusty, and pockmarked with small craters, but their equipment led them to a specific spot where the readings were strongest. "The energy source is about 30 meters below us," said Susan, checking her handheld scanner. "But I'm not seeing any entrance." Jack walked in a small circle, his boots leaving prints in the fine dust. He stopped suddenly and knelt down. "Wait, look at this." He brushed away some of the dust, revealing a smooth, metallic surface underneath. Alex and Susan joined him. Together they cleared more dust, revealing what appeared to be a large circular plate made of an unknown metal. "This is definitely artificial," said Jack, running a gloved hand over the surface. "And it's made of a material I've never seen before." Susan pointed her scanner at it. "The energy readings are coming from directly below this. I think it might be a door." As if responding to her words, the circular plate suddenly illuminated with soft blue light. Strange symbols appeared around its edge, symbols that none of them recognized at first. "It's reacting to our presence," Jack whispered. Susan gasped as she looked more closely at the symbols. "Commander, these look like an ancient form of human writing. similar to Proto-Sanskrit or early Sumerian but different. Before Alex could respond, the circular plate began to split open like a camera aperture, revealing a dark passage below. "It recognized us," said Alex in disbelief. How could 15,000-year-old technology recognize humans? With extreme caution, the three of them descended into the passage. Their suit lights illuminated a tunnel that seemed to have been carved directly into the asteroid. But as they went deeper, the tunnel became more refined, with smooth walls made of the same unknown, metal as the door. The tunnel led them to an enormous chamber that took their breath away. As they entered, lights automatically activated, revealing a cavernous hangar larger than anything on the Stargazer. And inside this hangar were 5 massive ships, arranged in a perfect formation. "My God," breathed Alex, his voice barely a whisper in his helmet. "Those are warships." The vessels were sleek and powerful, with designs unlike anything in the United Earth Fleet. Yet despite their alien appearance, there was something unmistakably human about their construction. Jack walked toward the nearest ship in a trance-like state. The technology, it's centuries beyond anything we have, maybe millennia. Susan approached one of the ships and brushed dust from a panel near what appeared to be an entrance. More symbols appeared, and her translator program struggled to process them. "Commander," she called, her voice shaking. "I can partially translate. This. It says Retribution Fleet, Earth Defense Force." Alex felt his heart pounding in his chest. "Earth Defense Force? Are you saying these ships are human?" Susan nodded slowly. "According to these readings, yes. Human technology, 15,000 years old, before any known human civilization capable of building even simple machines, let alone starships." As they stood there trying to process this impossible discovery, Alex approached the lead ship. When he placed his hand on its hull, a section of the metal simply dissolved away, creating an entrance. "It's responding to human DNA," Jack said in amazement. "It knows we're human." Inside the lead ship, they found a bridge unlike anything they had ever seen. There were control stations, but no visible interfaces, just smooth surfaces that lit up as they approached. As Alex sat in what appeared to be the command chair, the entire ship hummed to life around them. Holographic displays appeared in the air, showing star charts of a galaxy that looked both familiar and strange. "The ships are awakening," Susan said, as lights began to appear throughout the other vessels as well. "All of them." "But why were they here?" asked Jack. "Why would ancient humans build advanced warships and then hide them in an asteroid at the edge of the Capella system?" Alex stared at the star charts, seeing familiar stars in unfamiliar configurations. "I think the better question is, what were they fighting against, and is it still out there?" As if in answer, a message appeared in front of Alex in those same ancient symbols, slowly translating into modern English. "Retribution Fleet activated. Human DNA confirmed. Warning. Dravari containment protocol breached. Estimated time until EU. Dravari response 14 days. The three of them exchanged worried glances. They had just discovered humanity's greatest secret, and possibly awakened its greatest threat. 2 weeks passed since the discovery of the ancient ships. The United Earth government kept the find top secret, allowing only a small team of scientists and military personnel to study the vessels. Commander Alex Winters had been ordered to remain at the site, along with Susan Garcia and Jack Miller, who were now leading different research teams. Jack stood inside the engine room of the lead ship, surrounded by technology that made Earth's most advanced systems look primitive by comparison. "I still can't figure out how these power cores work," he said to the 2 engineers working with him. "They don't use any fuel we recognize, but they're still active after 15,000 years. Susan, meanwhile, was trying to decode more of the ship's database. The ancient language was slowly being translated by their computers, revealing fragments of a history that no one knew existed. "Commander," Susan called as Alex entered the bridge of the lead ship, "I found something interesting. These ships weren't just built for defense. According to these records, they were the last hope for humanity against something called the Dravari." "Any information on what the Dravari are?" asked Alex. Susan shook her head. Not yet, but whatever they were, humanity was losing the war until these ships were built. Their conversation was interrupted by a call from the Stargazer. Commander Winters, urgent message from Earth Command. Please return to the Stargazer immediately. When Alex returned to his ship, he found the communications officer looking pale. Sir, Earth has made first contact with an alien species. They call themselves the Dravari. Alex felt his blood run cold. The name from the ancient warning was now a reality. Put it on screen. The main screen showed a recording from Earth. Tall, elegant beings with silvery skin and 4 arms stood beside human officials. Their leader, who introduced himself as Ambassador Kextol, spoke perfect English as he offered friendship and technology exchange. The Dravari wish to establish peaceful relations with humanity, said Earth's president in the recording. They have been observing us for some time and have decided we are ready for contact. A diplomatic meeting will be held next week to discuss a formal alliance. After the recording ended, Alex immediately called Earth Command. General, I need to speak with you urgently about the Dravari. General Laura Patel appeared on screen. Commander Winters, I assume this is about the ancient ships? Yes, General. The ships contain warnings about beings called the Dravari. We need to be careful with this first contact. The General nodded. We are proceeding with caution, but so far they've been nothing but helpful. They've already offered medical technology that could cure several diseases. Still, I want you and your team at the diplomatic meeting. Bring all the information you've gathered. 3 days later, Alex, Susan, and Jack stood in the grand hall of the Earth Government headquarters in New Geneva. The room was filled with officials, scientists, and media representatives, all eager to meet the first confirmed alien species to contact Earth. Dr. William Harris, Earth's leading expert in xenoanthropology, was showing the Dravari delegates images of human history and achievements. When he reached a slide showing pictures of the ancient ships, Alex noticed something odd. The Dravari ambassador's posture changed slightly, and his 4 hands twitched in what might have been surprise or alarm. Susan, Alex whispered. Did you see that? Susan nodded. Their body language changed completely when they saw the ships. Jack, what do you think? Jack leaned closer. I think they recognized those ships, and they weren't happy to see them. The meeting continued smoothly, but Alex couldn't shake his unease. The Dravari asked many questions about Earth's history, especially ancient civilizations, but offered vague answers about their own past. That night, after the day's events had concluded, Alex met with Susan and Jack in a secure room. Something isn't right, said Alex. The Dravari are too interested in our ancient history, especially anything from around 15,000 years ago. I managed to translate more of the ship's database today, Susan said, opening her tablet. It mentions a great war that nearly destroyed humanity. The Dravari were described as world eaters, who appeared peaceful at first but were actually conquerors. Jack looked troubled. If these are the same Dravari, why would they come in peace now after trying to destroy us before? Their discussion was cut short when alarms began blaring throughout the building. Alex's communication device beeped urgently. Commander Winters, report to the command center immediately, came General Patel's voice. When they arrived at the command center, chaos reigned. Screens showed massive ships appearing in Earth's orbit, ships that weren't there before and didn't match the diplomatic vessel the Dravari had arrived in. What's happening? Alex asked a nearby officer. The Dravari delegates disappeared from their quarters an hour ago, the officer replied. Then these ships just appeared out of nowhere. They've disabled our satellite defenses without firing a shot. General Patel looked grim as she approached them. The Dravari ambassador just sent this message to all Earth nations simultaneously. The main screen showed Ambassador Kextol, but his formerly friendly expression was gone, replaced by cold determination. People of Earth, he said. Our scans have detected that you have discovered the ancient fleet. You will surrender these weapons to us immediately, or we will be forced to take action. You have 12 hours to comply. What ancient fleet? Asked the Earth president who stood nearby. What is he talking about? Alex stepped forward. He means the ships we found, sir. Somehow, they knew we found them. Can these ancient ships help us? Asked the president. Before Alex could answer, alarms sounded again. On the screens, they watched in horror as a massive Dravari vessel fired upon Luna Colony. The moon's largest human settlement, home to over 10,000 people, vanished in a flash of light. They didn't even wait for our answer, whispered Susan, in shock. The Dravari ambassador appeared on screen again. That was a demonstration. We have no desire to destroy your species, but we will not allow the ancient fleet to be reactivated. Deliver the coordinates of the ships, and we will leave your planet in peace. General Patel turned to Alex. Commander, is there any chance those ships you found could be operational? Our entire fleet couldn't stand against even one of those Dravari vessels. Alex exchanged looks with Susan and Jack. The ships were powering up when we found them, General. With the right crew, they might be our only hope. Then you have 11 hours to get back there and figure out how to fly those ancient warships, said the general. Because if the Dravari are telling the truth, humanity faced this threat once, before, and those ships were how we survived. As they rushed toward the shuttle bay, Jack said what they were all thinking. If those ships saved humanity 15,000 years ago, they must be powerful. No wonder the Dravari are afraid of them. But if we're right about this, Susan added, then humanity once had technology far beyond what we have now. What happened to us? Why did we lose all that knowledge? Alex had no answer as they boarded the fastest shuttle available. All he knew was that Earth's fate now depended on 5 ancient warships and whatever secrets they still held. The shuttle carrying Alex, Susan, and Jack raced through space faster than regulations allowed. Earth had already lost 3 defense stations to Dravari attacks. The United Earth Fleet fought bravely, but their weapons barely damaged the alien ships. We're approaching the asteroid field, said the pilot. ETA 5 minutes. Alex checked his tablet, which showed live updates from Earth. The president is trying to negotiate, but the Dravari won't budge. They want the ancient ships destroyed, or surrendered. They're scared of these ships, said Jack. That has to mean they're powerful enough to make a difference. When they reached the asteroid, they found the research team in a state of high alert. Everyone had heard about the Dravari attack on Luna Colony. What's our status? Alex asked as they rushed inside the main ship. The systems are coming online faster now, replied Dr. Ethan Powell, the lead scientist. It's like they know they're needed. Susan hurried to her research station. I've made progress with the database, but there's so much we still don't understand. Show me what you've got, said Alex. Susan brought up a holographic display. The ships were built at the end of a long war with the Dravari. According to these records, the Dravari arrived claiming to be peaceful explorers just like now. But they actually wanted Earth's resources and tried to conquer humanity when we refused to submit. History repeating itself, muttered Jack. There's more, said Susan. The war lasted for decades. Humanity was losing until they developed these 5 ships, which they called the Retribution Fleet. But even with these ships, the cost of victory was terrible. Most of human civilization was destroyed. Alex studied the information. But how do we operate them? We need pilots, weapons experts, engineers. I think I found something that might help, said Susan, leading them deeper into the ship. They entered a chamber they hadn't explored before, with a single chair in the center surrounded by strange equipment. What is this? Asked Jack, examining the technology. According to the database, it's a neural interface, said Susan. It was designed to transfer knowledge directly into a human mind. The ship's original captain used it to learn everything needed to command this vessel. Is it safe? Asked Alex. Susan hesitated. I don't know. The records suggest it was an emergency measure, used only when there was no time for traditional training. Jack studied the equipment. Even if it works, who would volunteer? The neural load could be enormous. I will, said a voice from the doorway. They turned to see Senior Officer Natalie Reeves, who had arrived with them on the shuttle. I have the highest neural plasticity rating in the fleet. If anyone can handle it, I can. Alex shook his head. Natalie, we don't know what this will do to you. We don't have a choice, she replied. Earth is under attack. Luna Colony is gone. We need these ships operational now. After a tense discussion, they agreed. With careful preparation, Natalie sat in the chair. Susan activated the interface based on her translations of the instructions. The room hummed with energy as the neural interface connected with Natalie. Her body went rigid, then relaxed. Her eyes moved rapidly behind closed lids as if she was dreaming. Minutes passed, then an hour. The others watched anxiously, monitoring her vital signs. Finally, Natalie's eyes opened. But she looked different somehow. Older, wiser, like someone who had seen centuries rather than her 32 years. "Natalie?" Alex said cautiously. "Are you okay?" She looked at him with clear recognition. "Yes, Commander, I'm fine." Her voice was steady but held a new authority. "And I know how to operate these ships now." "What did you see?" asked Susan. Natalie stood slowly, adjusting to the weight of new knowledge. "Everything. Our true history. Earth was once the center of a vast civilization that spanned hundreds of star systems. We weren't just on Earth. We had colonies throughout this region of the galaxy for thousands of years." The others listened in shock as she continued. "The Dravari came from another galaxy. They presented themselves as peaceful, but they're actually parasites. They find civilizations, infiltrate them, and then consume their resources, including the people." "What happened in the war?" asked Jack. "We fought for decades," said Natalie. "Regular weapons couldn't stop them. Then our scientists discovered a way to manipulate a fundamental force, something beyond our current understanding of physics. They built these 5 ships, each designed to use this force in different ways." "How did we win?" asked Alex. "The final battle nearly destroyed both species," said Natalie. "These ships turned the tide, but Earth's civilization was reduced to ruins. The survivors made a choice. They hid the remaining technology and erased the knowledge of our past. They wanted humanity to start fresh, without the burden of that terrible war." "But the Dravari survived too," said Susan. Natalie nodded. "Yes, they retreated to rebuild their forces. They've been watching Earth for 15,000 years, waiting for us to rediscover space travel. They're not here for revenge. They're here to finish what they started, to consume Earth like they always planned." "Can you teach us how to operate the ship?" asked Alex. "I can do better than that," said Natalie. "I can help you select the right people for each ship and use the neural interface to train them quickly, but we need to hurry." Over the next few hours, Natalie helped identify the best candidates from the research team and the Stargazer's crew. 5 more people underwent the neural interface process, each receiving the knowledge needed for their specific role. Alex watched as the ancient ships came fully alive under their touch. Corridors lit up, engines hummed, and weapon systems prepared for battle. "According to the latest update, Earth's defenses are failing," said Susan, checking her tablet. "The Dravari have destroyed our main fleet and are positioning for a final attack." Alex made his decision. "We can't wait any longer. Natalie, are the ships ready?" "As ready as they can be with skeleton crews," she replied. "The Vanguard is the flagship. You should command it, Alex. I'll take the Harbinger, Susan the Shadow, Jack the Guardian. We need one more captain for the Oracle." "Dr. Powell has the right skills," suggested Jack. "And he's already been through the interface." Alex nodded. Then it settled. "Prepare for launch. We need to reach Earth before it's too late." As they moved to their assigned ships, Susan asked the question they were all thinking. Can 5 ships, even these ancient ones, really defeat the entire Dravari fleet? Natalie's expression was grim but determined. "They did it once before. We have to believe they can do it again." The 5 ancient warships powered up, their engines glowing with energy unlike anything seen in modern human technology. As they broke free from the asteroid, they accelerated at speeds that should have been impossible. Heading toward Earth, they knew they were humanity's last hope. And somewhere ahead, the Dravari waited, unaware that their ancient nightmare was awakening once more. The 5 ancient warships raced toward Earth at impossible speeds. Inside the Vanguard, Alex sat in the command chair, surrounded by technology that seemed to respond to his thoughts as much as his touch. The neural interface had given him enough knowledge to pilot the ship, but he was still discovering new abilities with each passing hour. "Status report," he called to the small crew of 10 who operated the massive vessel. "All systems at full power," replied Officer Ben Clark, who had been chosen for his exceptional skills as a helmsman. "We're moving at speeds our instruments can't even measure properly." "The other ships are maintaining formation," added another crew member, monitoring the tactical display. Alex opened a communication channel to the other 4 ships. "Captains, report in." Jack's face appeared first on the holographic display. "The Guardian is fully operational. I've been studying the defensive systems. This ship can project energy shields that could cover entire continents." Susan reported, next from the shadow. "Our stealth systems are unlike anything I've ever seen. We can bend light around us, become completely invisible to both eyes and sensors." "The Harbinger is ready," said Natalie. "We've activated the drone bay. This ship carries thousands of automated fighter craft, all controlled through a central system." Dr. Powell completed the check-in from the Oracle. "The predictive systems are online. We can see tactical possibilities seconds before they happen." "It's extraordinary." As they spoke, Earth came into view, and with it the Dravari fleet. Over 30 massive vessels surrounded the planet, their distinctive crescent shapes casting shadows on the world below. "They haven't detected us yet," said Susan from the shadow. "Their sensors aren't designed to track our propulsion technology." Alex studied the tactical display. "The neural knowledge suggests we should separate. Each ship has different abilities that work best independently." "Agreed," said Natalie. "The Retribution fleet was designed to attack from multiple vectors simultaneously." "Then let's follow the original battle plan," said Alex. "Jack, take the Guardian and position it between the Dravari and Earth. Your priority is protecting the planet from further bombardment." "Understood," Jack replied. "Susan, use the Shadow's stealth capabilities to get behind their command ship. When the battle starts, target their communication systems." Susan nodded. "We'll make sure they can't. Coordinate their attacks. Natalie, keep the Harbinger back until the fighting starts, then launch your drones to create confusion in their fleet." "Ready when you are," she confirmed. "Dr. Powell, the Oracle should stay near the Vanguard. We'll need your predictive systems to guide our main attack." "The Oracle will provide tactical support," Powell agreed. "What about the Vanguard?" asked Jack. "What can this ship do?" Alex's expression turned grave. "According to the neural knowledge, the Vanguard carries the main weapon, something called a reality distortion field. I'm still trying to understand how it works, but it's our primary offensive capability." As the ships moved into position, a message came through from Earth. General Patel appeared on screen looking exhausted but relieved to see them. "Commander Winters, thank God. The Dravari have destroyed most of our orbital defenses. Ground-based weapons have no effect on their ships. Their leader is demanding our surrender in the next hour." "Tell them you need more time, General," said Alex. "We're about to engage." Just as Alex finished speaking, alarms blared across all 5 ships. "They've spotted us," reported Susan. "The Dravari fleet is breaking formation." On the tactical display, Alex watched as several enemy vessels turned away from Earth and moved to intercept them. "All ships execute battle plan," ordered Alex. "Remember your training and the knowledge from the interface. These ships were built to win this fight once before. Let's make sure they do it again." The ancient fleet separated. The Guardian positioned itself in Earth's orbit, its massive form glowing with energy as it extended shields around the planet. The Shadow vanished from sight, its stealth systems making it invisible even to the advanced Dravari sensors. The Harbinger opened its massive bay doors, releasing swarms of autonomous fighters that shot toward the enemy fleet like a cloud of metal insects. The Oracle hung back beside the Vanguard, its systems calculating thousands of possible battle outcomes per second. "The Dravari flagship is hailing us," reported Ben. "On screen," said Alex. The face that appeared was similar to Ambassador Kextol's but older, with strange markings covering its silvery skin. When it spoke, its voice was deep and resonant. "Human vessels. This is Supreme Commander Vexnar of the Dravari Consumption Fleet. You have activated weapons that were banned by the Treaty of the Third Galaxy. Power down immediately or face extinction. There was no treaty, replied Alex, drawing on knowledge from the neural interface. Only a defeated enemy making empty threats before retreating. The Dravari commander's expression changed to one of fury. So you remember now, it matters not. We have spent 15,000 cycles preparing specifically for these weapons. Your ancient fleet cannot save you this time. We'll see about that, said Alex, ending the transmission. He opened a channel to all ships. The Dravari are moving to attack. All vessels engage according to plan. The battle began with a sudden flash as 3 Dravari ships fired upon the vanguard. Before the energy beams could hit, the Oracle sent, targeting data to the Guardian, which extended a shield around the flagship, deflecting the attack. Simultaneously, Susan's shadow, completely invisible, slipped behind the Dravari command ship and fired precisely targeted weapons that disabled its main communications array. The enemy fleet's movements immediately became less coordinated. Natalie's drone fighters swarmed around the Dravari vessels, their small size making them difficult targets while they fired continuously at vital systems. The Dravari are adjusting their tactics, reported Dr. Powell from the Oracle. They're focusing fire on the Guardian. Jack can't maintain shields around Earth and us at the same time. Jack, prioritize Earth's protection, ordered Alex. We can handle ourselves. Understood, replied Jack, redirecting the Guardian's energy to cover more of the planet. Alex studied the battle, watching as the Dravari ships began to coordinate despite their communication problems. They were formidable opponents, adapting quickly to the ancient fleet's attacks. It's time to use the Vanguard's main weapon, Alex decided. All ships, clear a path to their lead destroyer. The other ships adjusted their positions, drawing Dravari. Fire away from the Vanguard as Alex targeted the enemy vessel. Reality distortion field at full power, reported Ben. Ready to fire. Target locked, said another crew member. Alex took a deep breath. Fire. A beam of energy unlike anything they had ever seen erupted from the Vanguard. It wasn't a destructive blast in the conventional sense. Instead, where it touched the Dravari ship, reality itself seemed to warp. The massive enemy vessel didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, leaving not even debris behind. The battle paused momentarily as both sides processed what had happened. By the stars, whispered Susan over the comm. What did we just do? The weapon doesn't destroy, explained Alex, recalling the knowledge from the interface. It temporarily removes objects from our reality. The Dravari ship is elsewhere. The display showed the remaining Dravari vessels regrouping, clearly shocked by the loss of one of their largest ships. They're adjusting formation, reported Powell from the Oracle. Our predictive systems indicate they're preparing for a concentrated attack on the Vanguard. They understand now that it's the biggest threat. Alex nodded grimly. Then we need to strike first. All ships, prepare for coordinated attack pattern Delta. We're taking the fight to them. As the ancient fleet moved into new positions, Alex couldn't help but wonder if they were truly ready for this fight. The neural interface had given them knowledge, but not experience. Yet as he watched his crew work with technology 15,000 years, beyond their time, he felt a surge of hope. The Dravari had come to finish what they started millennia ago. Now it was humanity's turn to show them that Earth would never be their prey. The space around Earth exploded with light and energy as the ancient human fleet engaged the Dravari ships. The Guardian projected massive shields that the Dravari weapons couldn't penetrate. The shadow moved unseen through their formation, causing chaos wherever it went. The Harbinger's drone fighters swarmed like angry bees, overwhelming the enemy point defenses. Attack pattern Delta is working, reported Dr. Powell from the Oracle. The Dravari are struggling to counter multiple threats simultaneously. Inside the Vanguard, Alex studied the tactical display. 3 Dravari ships had already been removed from reality by the main weapon, but the energy cost was enormous. The ship needed time to recharge between shots. The Dravari are adapting, warned Susan from the shadow. They're adjusting their shields to detect our stealth technology. And they're launching smaller fighters to counter our drones, added Natalie from the Harbinger. Jack's voice came through with static. The Guardian's shields are holding, but they're concentrating fire on my position. I can't maintain this level of protection much longer. Alex made a quick decision. Oracle, analyze the Dravari flagship. Find a weakness we can exploit. Working. On it, replied Powell. After a moment, there's a pattern to their shield modulation. If we time our attacks precisely, we can penetrate their defenses with a coordinated strike. Everyone hear that? Asked Alex. We need perfect timing. Oracle will count down. On 0, all ships fire on these coordinates. As the Oracle began the countdown, the Dravari seemed to sense what was coming. Their flagship suddenly broke formation and accelerated directly toward the Vanguard. They're on a collision course, shouted Ben. Evasive maneuvers, ordered Alex. The Vanguard turned sharply, its ancient engines responding with impossible agility. For a ship its size, the Dravari flagship adjusted its course, still aiming for them. They're sacrificing their command ship to take out the Vanguard, realized Alex. They know we're the biggest threat. 5 seconds to impact, reported Ben. Alex gripped his chair. Divert all power to forward shields. The collision never came. At the last moment, Jack's Guardian appeared between the two ships, taking the full force of the impact. The ancient defensive vessel held, but the strain on its systems was visible, as energy sparked across its hull. Jack, Alex called over the comm. Status report. After a tense moment, Jack's voice came through. Still here, Commander, but the Guardian's main shield generators are offline. I've got maybe one more defensive. Stand in me. All ships focus fire on the Dravari flagship, ordered Alex. Now's our chance while their shields are down from the collision. The 5 human ships converged on the massive Dravari vessel. The Shadow appeared right beside it, firing at point-blank range. The Harbinger's drones targeted its engines. The Oracle provided precise firing solutions to everyone. The Guardian, despite its damaged state, managed to project a containment field around the enemy ship, preventing its escape. The Vanguard's weapon recharged just as they got into position. Reality distortion field at full power, reported Ben. Fire, ordered Alex. The beam struck the Dravari flagship, but something was different this time. Instead of disappearing, the ship seemed to resist the effect, its hull glowing with a strange counter-energy. They've developed some kind of defense against our main weapon, said Ben in disbelief. Alex opened a channel to all ships. All weapons, continuous fire, don't let up. The combined firepower of the ancient fleet hammered the Dravari flagship. Slowly, its defenses began to fail, sections of the massive ship breaking apart under the assault. Suddenly, a transmission cut through their communications. Supreme Commander Vexnar appeared on screen, his ship visibly breaking apart around him. This is not over, humans, he snarled. We have waited 15,000 cycles. We can wait 15,000 more. There will always be more Dravari. Why? Asked Alex. Why? This obsession with Earth, with humanity? The Dravari commander's expression changed to something like grudging respect. Because you are the only species we have ever encountered who could match our capacity for both creation and destruction. This war was never about resources or territory. It was about which species would determine the future of this galaxy. The transmission cut off as the flagship's command center exploded. Moments later, the remaining Dravari vessels began to retreat, jumping away to unknown coordinates. Should we pursue? Asked Susan. Alex shook his head. No. Earth is safe for now. That's what matters. As the ancient fleet regrouped in Earth orbit, they received new information from the ground. Strange facilities had been activating all across the planet, triggered by the fleet's awakening. Bunkers buried under mountains, laboratories hidden beneath oceans, libraries sealed in desert caverns, all containing technology and knowledge from humanity's forgotten past. It's happening everywhere, said General Patel during an emergency briefing. We're finding ancient technology all over Earth. It's like our entire history is being rewritten before our eyes. Alex stood on the Vanguard's observation deck looking down at the blue planet. Susan, Jack, Natalie, and Dr. Powell joined him, all lost in thought about what they had learned and what it meant for humanity's future. "What do we do now?" asked Jack. "The neural database contains knowledge that could return humanity to our former glory as a galactic power, but it also shows why our ancestors chose to hide it all away." "They recognize their own dangerous potential," said Natalie quietly. "The power to remove things from reality itself. That's not something to be used lightly." "We have a choice to make," said Alex. "We can use this recovered legacy to rebuild our civilization as it was before. Or we can try to forge a new path. The Dravari will return eventually," noted Powell. "We need to be ready." "But we don't need to become what they fear most about us," said Susan. "Maybe that's the real test here, not whether we can win the war, but how we choose to use this power." Their discussion was interrupted by a message from Earth Command. New objects had been detected entering the solar system, ships of designs they had never seen before. "More Dravari?" asked Jack with concern. "No," replied the officer, on screen. "These are different. They're waiting at the edge of the system. They've sent a message in over 50 languages. They say they've been watching the conflict and wish to establish contact now that the Guardians of the Third Spiral have returned." Alex looked at his friends with a mixture of wonder and apprehension. "It seems we've announced our presence to more than just the Dravari. Humanity is truly back on the galactic stage." As the 5 ships moved to meet these new visitors, Alex couldn't help but reflect on how much had changed in just a few days. They had discovered humanity's forgotten legacy, awakened ancient powers, and defended Earth from its oldest enemy. But the greatest challenges might still lie ahead. How would humanity use this recovered knowledge? Would they repeat the mistakes of the past or forge a new destiny among the stars? The answer would depend on the choices they made now, choices that would echo across the galaxy for millennia to come. As Earth glowed behind them, the 5 ancient warships moved forward to meet the future, carrying with them the secret legacy of humanity finally unleashed once more.